Welcome to Rockstar Doctor Life. I'm Melissa Longo, and each episode, my guests and I will bring you fresh, fun ways to rock your life as a health professional and create a business that aligns with who you are and the life you want to live. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Rockstar Doctor Life. I am happy to be chatting with a local chiropractor, at least local to my province today in Canada here. Dr. Matt Bradbury is with us, and he practices only a couple hours away from me. And I've been watching him. I've gotten to meet him, several times at different events locally, and really curious to know how he manages to do so many cool things with this practice, as well as have a fairly active Instagram presence. I really love watching his videos and his photos of his cute little girls. And I just found out he has another baby on the way. And he's also doing some really inspiring things in his own community, trying to help some dads get fit. So I think we're going to have a great conversation today. Dr. Matt, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
So as always, I love it if you could introduce yourself to everyone for us. First, tell us a little bit about who's Dr. Matt. What are you doing these days?
You know what? I'm really getting ready for our third child who's on the way in the next couple of weeks. So I've been busy working on the office, and I've always been around the house a little bit more, but looking after the two older kids and doing my thing with practice and the Dad Garage Fit Club. Trying to inspire other dads and make some time to share my own message on social media.
Yeah, you're a busy guy, no doubt, with young children right now too. So tell us a little bit about how you initially wanted to become a chiropractor. Where was your heart and soul, sparked to, I want to become a chiropractor and change people's lives?
So I think my initial chiropractic exposure was when I was a teenager with Dr. Blake Broker here in Brampton. Mm-hmm. And he really just, I heard the story. I came to essentially a doctor's report night, and I met him at a wrestling tournament actually when I was in high school. And then I heard the story at a doctor's report night, and I said, kind of the light bulb went off in my head, and I was like, okay, that makes sense. Why doesn't everybody just come out and get checked? So that really, really inspired me, and I really enjoyed fitness up until that point as well. So I kind of married the two and the principles and whatnot, and that's the way we live our life here now, and that's what we practice every single day.
Awesome. And you've always had your own private practice, or did you have other practice experience before you opened your own place in Georgetown?
Yeah, so I started out with another as an associate, and I spent about 8 to 9 months there before I decided the time was right to go out on my own and start on my own. And previous to that, finishing up chiropractic school, I had owned a fitness business as well. So I'd always been entrepreneurial. It was just a matter of I got my start, and then I just decided to go off and do my own thing. Excellent.
And you must have learned a few things from being an associate. I know that's a great transition piece for a lot of docs, but yet a lot of docs hesitate with becoming an associate. Do you have any advice around your experience and how that worked for you?
I think it has to be a win-win for both doctors. And I think it, for me, I definitely like making my own decisions and that autonomy. So if you like doing that and you like the freedom, then I would definitely say start small and start on your own. Mm-hmm. But, if you like having someone else assume more of the risk, then, start out as an associate.
Mm-hmm. And that can be something that can be really difficult for people to know about themselves when they are fresh at a chiropractic school.
Yeah, because you know what, you're likely in that stress mode, right? Where you're thinking about, I had student loans to pay and whatnot, and, you're busy thinking about all the things you got to look after now and real life responsibilities.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's hard to focus on chiropractic plus the other responsibilities.
Yeah. And I think, I know for myself, by the time I graduated, when I graduated from CMCC, I was, pregnant and ready to have my first son momentarily after convocation. But so much of that last year was about really getting ready clinically, I found. There was a little business stuff here and there, but anything else that I learned about how to grow practice, how to market a practice, systems, procedures, was stuff that I had to do outside of the school. And, so you talk about, knowing yourself and getting to know, like you did an associate first, but then you realize that maybe you wanted to have more freedom and autonomy and have your own practice. That can be a step that a lot of people don't ever get to take.
You're right. And you know what, I think it's, for me, it was just finding the right place and starting out. Because, when I did the math and the risk I wanted to take, it just worked really well. Mm-hmm. And some of the other young docs who have come to visit me said, I definitely think I started in a physical location that was too small because I ended up moving about 3 or 4 years later.
Yeah.
But it worked. It worked for me at the time. Mm-hmm. And, your own, now being 7+ years in practice, you realize that everything comes down to your confidence.
Mm-hmm. So you were an associate for, yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but sorry, so you were in an associate position for a short period of time. Then you had a smaller location. And then from that, you graduated to the space that you're in right now?
Yeah, it's only 2 or 3 doors down from where I originally started.
Okay.
But the first place was like just over 300 square feet.
Awesome.
it was literally a storefront, so it kind of gave you that presence.
Yeah.
And it looked like a full unit, but it was only like 17 feet back.
Yeah.
Right? And then the place I'm in now is about maybe 800 square feet.
You don't need a lot of space, though. I mean, obviously, I'm talking a lot about small space, great practices.
Yeah.
With the new simple practice program that we launched, my practice space is, probably about 500 square feet. So, that's another great testament to the fact that you can help a lot of people in your community in a small space, right?
Yeah, I really focus on getting as much value out of the physical space as possible. Mm-hmm. And then, now, you know how, you can have your large presence online.
Right. Yeah. Speaking of large presence online, how did you get started with your Instagram videos? And those are the things that I've noticed the most about you. It's something that some docs are doing effortlessly and easily, and other docs struggle with getting on there. And I think struggle from the perspective of, some fear, nervousness, not sure what to say, or intimidated by the tech. Those seem to be the two different pieces there. So do you have any advice about how you got started and what continues to inspire you to do all the videos that you're doing?
Yeah, you know what? I read Gary Vaynerchuk's book, Crushing It.
Yeah.
And that was probably in early 18. I sat there and read the whole thing. And that was really the last book I read front to back.
Yeah.
And it was one of those books that I didn't put down. And I was really at a point where I had exhausted a lot of things for marketing in my practice. Mm-hmm. And I had been really distracted with a couple of house moves and whatnot at that point. Mm-hmm. And so I was just getting refocused. It was probably about 19 months ago now. And really reading that book was the spark. I highly recommend it if you haven't read it.
It's a great book. Yeah, it is a great book.
Just to keep delivering, and the universe comes full circle, right? Like mm-hmm. My focus is on just making sure people know I'm out there and delivering content. I think one of my hesitations was, and I know this may sound silly, but was like the bait and switch in terms of chiropractic, right? So mm-hmm. It doesn't have to, I guess, be that way. It can be, 20 to 30% chiropractic and 50 to 80% lifestyle tips and family stuff. And it still is transparent in the fact that I still talk about the nervous system, the brain, the spine. Mm-hmm. And when people come in, they feel like they know you, right? So it's just a transparent conversation. When they come in, you tell them right off the bat that, even though on Instagram I may talk about how to stretch and how to do mobility work, I have a very clear conversation on, this is what we're going to focus on. This is a factor that you can't get anywhere else. And all the other stuff, I'm happy to, make you videos and show you the path, but that stuff's going to be empowering for you to do on your own.
Mm-hmm. And so
I think that's really, what's that, sorry?
No, go ahead, continue.
No, I just think that's really important because sometimes it feels like a challenge to keep it chiropractic, right? Mm-hmm. But it doesn't have to be 100%, chiropractic in the sense of adjusting and checking for subluxation. It can be, increasing function in day-to-day lifestyle choices.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I fully support that. I talk a lot about adjusting your lifestyle, right? So
Yeah.
I want you to come in and we'll take care of your spine and nervous system and make sure your body is working the way it's designed to. However, the things that you do when you're not in my practice are just as crucial to the results that you're going to experience here. Talking about how you're eating and your stress levels and your sleep patterns and are you moving your body and exercising? Like, these are all things that I believe as primary healthcare providers, it's our responsibility to be offering people insight of. And if they trust you, they trust us enough to be providing clinical care, there's already a connection there where they're open and willing to hear some of the other recommendations that we have. So I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, so that was a turning point, and it took about a good, 6 to 9 months to see a change. And I've doubled that time again. It's been about a year and a half plus now.
Mm-hmm.
And really, it's just consistently putting out content. And, don't be afraid to search the web for ideas or
Mm-hmm.
borrow other people's content and make it your own.
Mm-hmm.
Because, people are going to go searching for, I was just talking about carpal tunnel and pregnancy before we got on our conversation here. And people are going to go find that information somewhere. It might as well be from you and their community with a spine and nerve system component.
Mm-hmm. I
So I think
agree.
that's
And
really
it's,
valuable.
yeah, and I always tell docs too, like, think about if you're just getting started with doing any kind of content, social media content, think about like, what are some of the most common questions that you get in your practice? I mean, I feel like most of the days in my practice, I could just record myself all day long because I'll be
Yeah,
like talking about stretching, or I'll be talking about, the spine, or I'll be talking about inflammatory foods. And there's all these conversations that we have that I think other people could benefit, which is why I have the
yeah,
podcast and videos and stuff too. But it doesn't have to be that complicated. I mean, I often like to talk about keeping things simple. And it sounds to me
yeah,
like you've got it sounds very simple now. And I'm sure it wasn't simple when you first started, but you just
no,
have an idea and then you just jump on your phone and record a video and then post it to Instagram. I'm just trying to really distill it down for
yeah,
listeners and show them how it can be done without a lot of thought.
yeah. I make
With thought and
sure,
intention, but
yeah. I think it has to be simple because I hate getting at the desktop and the laptop now.
yeah.
Like I run everything off of an iPhone 10
Okay.
and basically edit my videos with an app called Perfect Video.
Mm-hmm.
And then I use the Clips app by Apple to put subtitles in.
Okay.
I mean, that's really simple to do. I'll have my staff take my phone and edit the subtitles,
Okay.
right? Because they won't always be perfect. So I'll have someone, like whether I have an exam doc that day or not, and they're in between patients, I'll just have them sit down and edit all my subtitles so they come out clear
Mm-hmm.
instead of saying silly things sometimes.
Yeah, that can happen. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So those
So
are invaluable.
yeah, so you're basically with your phone. So listeners, did you hear that? So with your phone and a couple of apps, you can create some, great videos for your community, and it doesn't have to be overly complicated. And then do you take those videos from Instagram and then do you upload them to like your YouTube channel or other social media like Facebook as well?
So usually what I do is I start if I'm shooting a longer video, like
Mm-hmm.
1+ minute, I'll start on Facebook Live on the One Life page,
Okay.
and then I'll save it, and then what I'll do is I may put like a header in it using the Perfect Video app, and
Mm-hmm.
then I'll repurpose it to Instagram because Instagram now has Instagram TV
Yeah.
previews, right? So you just add it out as an Instagram TV episode, say
Yeah.
post a preview to your page, and now you have a new tag. And I make it easy to find on my page. I have everything titled.
Yeah.
So I'll create a title page for everything and then integrate that on the Perfect Video app.
Good.
Yeah.
So you used another word that I like, and that was repurpose. A lot of docs
Oh,
get
you have to.
intimidated by, oh, how do you do all this content? I'm like, well, I didn't do all this content. Actually, I did one blog post, which has now become a podcast episode that I just audio medium, recorded it, or became a video because I just talked about it. And so it's not like you're creating all kinds of volumes of content. You're just taking a one piece and taking pieces of it out, maybe for, images to share, or, quick little Facebook posts, or again, using one video on Facebook, on Instagram, and getting your message out on a lot of platforms. It doesn't have to be complicated, listeners. So thanks for sharing that, Matt.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
wanted
you're
to,
welcome.
I want to circle back to, you talked about being an entrepreneur as a
Yeah.
in the fitness industry before you became a chiropractor. Did your
Yeah.
experience as an entrepreneur, what were some of the pieces of that part of your life that helped you in your business life as a chiropractor?
I think putting yourself out there, right?
Okay.
Every year you realize it more and more. how many people come and purchase from you because they feel like they know you.
Right.
And, I always remember there was a question there on the pre-show just about who's been your influence. And I always remember when I was like 4 or 5 years old, my dad used to make me get out of the car and run into the store to buy something, right, in the convenience store.
Mm-hmm.
And like in terms of being good for me to go talk to people, right? And
Mm-hmm.
he'd watch me pull right up and watch me run in, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
always remember those little life lessons in terms of you have to go and talk to people over and over again. And I think that was suited with the fitness business. And I was always doing different things like door knocking, introducing myself to different businesses and plazas, and just forcing yourself to do things that are probably uncomfortable in the beginning. And that's when you're growing, right? If you feel a little bit
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortable and anxious about things.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and I still do it every day. Like you still try to do something that's a little bit scary, and it's definitely made it easier having the social media, because you'll walk to the grocery store, you'll walk into a new business, and maybe the business owner doesn't recognize you, but someone else introduces themselves randomly and like introduces you to the business owner because they feel like they know you and watch you online.
Mm-hmm.
So it works really well in that sense.
Yeah, I think that we forget, like, sometimes I know that I'm on people like, look, you need to have social connections. You can't just rely on all your social connections being on, on Facebook and Instagram. Like you have to have face-to-face conversations, right? And get to events even with other chiropractors. Like I think there's something that is incredibly valuable about being in the physical proximity with people, right? However, there is a huge connection piece with the digital world, right? Like it happens to all of us where you feel like I have clients now where I feel like I know them, either my practice or mentoring clients or people that I'll see at seminars, where you feel like you know them because you've seen their stories, right? And you've seen what they have going on and what they're interested in. And there is a really great thing about that if you can use that to your advantage and not forget that there's that other part of social life and business growth and, continuing ed that goes along with being around people presence.
Yeah, I think the two really reinforce each other, right? Because the best way to have influence is face-to-face conversation, but using that to connect again and again repetitively on social media, and then using social media to direct message people, and so you don't just show up at doors cold anymore. You can show up as messaging them, making little videos for people, and then going from there.
So you talked about that book, Crushing It by Gary Vee, a great book, listeners. What are some of the other resources that you have been really influenced by, whether they're, within chiropractic or business success?
Oh, I think there's just one little blue book or purple covered book, the Sales and Marketing Bible, I think. That's like a timeless book that's been reprinted multiple times.
Okay.
I can
That's
give you
not by
the title at the end
Seth
of the
Godin,
show.
or?
No, it's by another gentleman. But
Okay.
I read that. I think it's called the Sales and Marketing Bible.
Okay.
I mean, if you Google the Sales Bible, it'll come up probably as the first one. And it's just a little paperback book, but it has so many ideas in terms of being repetitious and getting your face out there and just talking to people over and over again, and about what they're interested in. Because once you talk about what they're interested in, it comes full circle. And patience is the name of the game in terms of the opportunity to get your own message in there.
Yeah, I think it's really easy for us to make it about us in different conversations, even within our practice, right? And it's never about us. You have to always frame it as what's the benefit for the people that are using your services.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, Dr. Ryan French has been a great mentor to me. I've always gotten invaluable information from him. And those are really the only ones that come to mind right now. There's so much stuff that I'll read online in terms of blog posts and just my own research in the evenings in terms of trying to tweak my message that goes out on social media and what's new and what's trending, right? Because I'll talk to my brother-in-laws are 23, 24. So I'll talk to them about, what do you think I could do better? How do you think I can relate more? What are people doing on Snapchat? Like random questions like that, right? Because they communicate via text and Snapchat, right? So I'm always trying to figure out what's going on with them to make my message better for 25 to 45-year-olds.
Relying on different people in your life and different age groups. I love that too, to sort of find their
Yeah.
strengths. Yeah. Yeah. Ryan French, listeners, I will definitely put a link into Ryan's show, Dr. Ryan French's show. I know him well myself. He has been a podcast guest. He was actually at CMCC, Matt. He was
Yeah.
he was a couple years ahead of me. And so, when you do your internship, he was one of my interns. So he's been
Oh,
adjusting
wow.
me for 20, oh gosh, I don't want to say how many years he's been adjusting me, but
A few
yeah,
years.
yeah, amazing chiropractor and human being for sure. So
Cool.
let's talk about, you have 2 young girls and another baby on the way. How does
Yeah.
Dr. Matt switch from dad to practice guy, business guy?
You know what? I find that really hard.
That's an
And,
honest answer. Thank you.
yeah, and I get, I definitely have my wife telling me to put my phone down and whatnot. And, I'm guilty of it, even though I talk about, I wish it was perfect and I didn't use my phone right away when I showed up at night. But, I get home, I do my best to put my phone down at the front door
Mm-hmm.
and then walk up and do bath time and read a book. And then I'll switch back to various tasks in the evening. But yeah, I think sometimes, there's such a blurred line with all of that it's hard to separate it. But a lot of times on Sundays, I'll try to put my phone down and
Mm-hmm.
just, enjoy going for a walk to Tim Hortons in the park and
Mm-hmm.
do something different, right? Where I'm disconnected from technology.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was thinking that earlier when you talked about, doing everything on your phone, which is brilliant. But at the same time, it also means that
Yeah.
you're never disconnected from it, because we all have our phones with us, right? To talk to our partners and kids or friends or family, whatever, but also to, take photos now. I mean, our phones are, for most of us indispensable, but it could be easy to get sucked into always be on, right? And creating and producing stuff. So putting your phone away, I'm sure is a big thing for you.
Yeah, it's important. And I think Gary Vee talks about the word entrepreneurial paranoia,
Mm,
like where it's just your mind's constantly going. And I think that's what makes you an entrepreneur. So it's
right.
very hard for me to shut down. I come up with ideas at like 11:59 at night, and I pick my phone back up and start writing them down.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So other than that, I do a great job at shutting it down for bedtime and whatnot. And I
Yeah.
have those, 6 to 7.5 hours, depending on the day,
Yeah.
rest. Right. So
Yeah. It's not a perfect system, but it's a work in progress for most of us, right?
yeah. And you know what? One other time I do want to mention is the mornings. I
Okay.
am good at, that's one thing I am relatively good at, is taking the girls, walking them to school, and just enjoying. Like everybody sees me out in the middle of winter when it's -20, either trying to push the stroller through snow or something, and take them to school, because that's like my half an hour, 45 minutes of the things I do with them on
Mm,
Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
right. So did your hours shift in your practice at all when your daughters were born, and do you anticipate shifting anything with your third coming, or did they just evolve gradually because of your other,
Yeah,
interests?
absolutely. You know what? I've always kept the core focus as Monday afternoon, evenings, all day Tuesday, Thursday.
Okay.
And then I have flexibility to do everything else. And you talked about my definition of success and,
Mm-hmm.
freedom, like choosing what I want to do when I want to do it. Right. And
Yeah.
I really think that, I enjoyed studying for all those years
Yeah.
and showing up to class for 15 to 20 hours a week. And I always joke that like, this is pretty much an extension of university. It's just now you get an exchange and, make a living and a life. And,
Yeah.
yeah, you can kind of make your own hours. And, I love interacting with people. So, I mean, that's the bonus, right? You get to go hang out with people
Yeah.
and then come home and you do your very best to shut it off when you come home.
Yeah. I love it. I love the connections that we have with our people in our practice too. And I've never thought about it that way. We're kind of just like grown up teenagers. Is that what you're saying?
What's that? Oh,
Are you
yeah,
saying
just
that we're
like,
just basically grown up, or maybe not teenagers, like university students, like living, if you've done it
you got
right
it.
and you're living and you're getting paid for actively constantly studying and spending some time in your week producing and creating and otherwise having fun.
Yeah, like, I think it works out great. I always liked that lifestyle.
Yeah.
So it just carried through. And I always, worked part-time and went to school. I never really had a full-time job in the summer. I just went through all year round,
Right.
except for chiropractic, because I couldn't, you had to take the break. But
Yeah.
I've always just done a little bit of everything. That's my, that trickles into how I talk on social media and with practice members about, being consistently persistent about things, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's, yeah, I love it. I mean, success is freedom. I'm just looking at my notes here that you shared. I also
Yeah.
love that you've taken the initiative in your community and started this Dad Garage Fit Club. Tell us a little bit more about that and how that even started. Because I think it's an amazing example of, you obviously, showing some leadership in your community and inspiring a lot of other dads around you.
Yeah, you know what? First of all, with it, I'm probably gonna need a detached garage soon and a bigger garage, just because, with the weight dropping and whatnot, it's a little bit louder at certain times of the day. But I basically have a couple of dads who come over and a neighbor who will come over and join me on Wednesday and Friday afternoons for a workout, and we'll do some strength and we'll do some conditioning. And I take little pictures and I kind of joke about it online. And, people follow along, and I get random comments from people. I think the funniest one was something along the lines of, "Hey, or something. I don't even, or I'm not a dad that I know of, but I really want to join the Dad Garage Fit Club." So that was someone's comment, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah.
So it was good.
Yeah.
But we enjoy ourselves, and teaching them. And Ian's taken, one of the guys who's been with me for the longest, I think, has taken some before and after photos,
Mm-hmm.
and just a big transformation. And I got T-shirts made up and stuff, so I treat it like it's a real thing, right? And we have a blast. So,
Yeah, that's
especially
good.
with -20.
Well, congrats. I mean, again, the movement is a huge part of our physical health, right? And I think that some people struggle with being, in the right environment, maybe the right trainers, finding the right system that works for them. And so for you to be able to show, these men that there's another way and a community, that's fantastic. So good for you.
Thank you. Yeah, you know what? I'm excited to always show that it can be done, and
Yeah.
you don't have to commit to some, big process about staying fit.
Yeah. Now, I'm talking about simplicity a lot these last few weeks. So I want to ask you, what is something simple that you've done in either your life or your business that has made a big difference for you?
In terms of getting the message out or simplifying?
Whatever you like. You can take this into a business, for your practice, or something in your personal life. Some docs have shared with me, look, I just learned to say no. I just learned to put myself first, like something simple that you found has made a big difference in, with your overall health, your business success, your relationships. Give you freedom right now, Matt, to answer this however you want.
Yeah, I think being able to say no and accept people into the practice that are mutually a good fit to work together.
Yeah.
Because you have to want to work together mutually. And don't be afraid to say no. Like, that was a good one. But I think transparency in terms of, people are always curious about chiropractic, or when they have a problem and they've been through everywhere else and they come to the chiropractor and they're not sure what to expect. And I think transparency, one of my mentors just talked about it like 3 or 4 years ago, in terms of letting people know what you're going to test for, how it could go, possibilities. And, people want to know about time and money. So I just tell them off the bat, like, these are the ranges it could be. And making that portion of the day complimentary. So there's a neutral meeting ground, and then charging for the examination.
Right.
So treating it as 2 separate portions, that's made a huge difference for me in terms of practice growth, and making it much less stressful. You walk around with your shoulders more relaxed. Right. And people are either in or they're out, kind of thing, and go from there. And they can, consume it for a season, a reason, or a lifetime.
So you're detaching from their outcome, and you're just really showing up to offer them your ideas, your suggestions, your clinical care, and you're detaching from the potential results.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not being like, I'm really proud of the brand Chiropractic. And I really think it needs to be consumed correctly to get a result. So like you said earlier, not being afraid to say, no, maybe we're not a good fit for something for this. Try this instead. Or maybe you want to try this instead.
Well, I love that,
in a
because
loving way,
I think,
of course.
Yeah, I think one of the simplest ways to have more joy in your life is to be yourself, right? And not just be yourself, like your personality, but even be yourself as a chiropractor. Like, I'm really clear, like, I don't do any active release. I don't do any acupuncture. I don't do soft tissue. That's just not my jam, right? And I have people in town who I refer to if I believe that someone needs some supportive care, but I love the neurological effects of the adjustment. I love family care. I love pediatrics. That's where I shine. And so being able to say to people very similar to you when they come in, you know what, if you want me to just look at your shoulder, that's not really what I'm going to do. I'll look at your whole spine. Your shoulder might be coming from this, this, or this. If you just want to have someone look at your shoulder, I've got an idea. Why don't you go see so-and-so? And it's never happened to me where anyone's left the office, but having that really open, honest conversation about what we're best at and our skills, it just really starts off the relationship in a really positive, beautiful way. Yeah,
it works out so much better.
Yeah, and it's simple. Yeah, it's simple to be yourself and not have to pretend to be someone else or have skills that you maybe don't have.
Absolutely. You got that right.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I do want to wrap things up and respect your afternoon. Any final thoughts about chiropractic that you wish all chiropractors would know? If you were to give all doctors one piece of advice, what would that be?
Just show up and be yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Because you will eventually, filter through everything and find your tribe.
Yeah.
Right? But you got to show up and be you and make it what you want it, because it's tough at times. It's really rewarding, but make it exactly what you want it to be in service to other people. Right.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks again for your time. I'm sure that next time we connect, you will be a father of 3. So best of good warm wishes for the safe arrival of your 3rd child, and have an awesome rest of the day.
Oh, thanks so much, Melissa. Thanks for having me on.
I hope you enjoyed today's show. Find out more about today's guests and everything else that we talked about in the show notes. You can also find all this content and so much more, including videos, blog posts, and how you can work with me on the Rockstar Doctor Life website. If you haven't yet reviewed the show, we'd love it if you headed on over to iTunes, subscribe, and leave us a review about what your thoughts are about future episodes for the show and what you like best. Feel free to connect with me on Instagram at Melissa Longo DC, and of course on Facebook. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you next time.